Welcome back everyone to our gameplay series of Pure Farming 2018. So in our last video we got our first harvest for both of our orchards that are located right over here, as well as our first income from the sale of both our pigs and our cows. So that all went great, and you can see in the top right hand corner that left us with $48,000. And we talked a little bit about the possibility of expanding and purchasing another orchard, which we could do. In fact, let's take a quick look at that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about why I've decided not to do that just yet. So here's the orchard that I would want to purchase next. And the reason is, first of all, let's take a look at the cost. You can see $45,000, so we definitely have that amount. But here's the reason why I would want to purchase this one. First and foremost, there is a shed nearby that we would want to purchase for $3,000. That would take up our $48,000 right there. Unfortunately, it would leave us with no money left in order to teleport our vehicles over there, because I have no interest right now in driving our vehicles from down here all the way around the map and up here. Now, not that it takes forever, but it's not something I want to do at this time, especially not whenever you can teleport and be there immediately. The problem is that teleporting between your properties takes a little bit of money. I think it's $150 if I remember correctly. So it's not a lot, but we'll only have $11 left if we make both of these purchases. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and hold off. But as far as why I would want to purchase this orchard, it's an apple orchard. And if you notice, right here is a source of water. So we have virtually nowhere that we have to go in order to get water. And of course, because there is a shed nearby, that means that we have the pesticide that we need to spray the orchard. So those two things are literally right next to the orchard. And then to make things even sweeter, when it comes time for the harvest, we will simply be able to take our apples right here to the food market that is also literally right next door. So everything is right here where we would want it to be, but we don't quite have enough money to get done what I would like to get done. Again, just to keep from having to use a lot of fuel and spend a lot of time moving equipment back and forth. Now, at some point, as I've mentioned before, I definitely want to have dedicated equipment in certain parts of the map so that we can use certain areas and take care of that with certain equipment rather than having to move things around. But for right now, we're still very early in the game and we're going to have to do a lot of moving around. So what I decided to do instead is something that we have done a little bit of in the past and talked about in the past, and that is get into renewable energy. The great thing about renewable energy in this game is that it does not require any upkeep. Once we make the purchase, we simply get the income each day and we don't have to worry about it. So we've got some options here on the map in order to do that. First of all, right near our location, we have wind turbines. We have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. And then also nearby, you can see a solar panel selection here, but that's $50,000. We don't quite have enough money for that. However, if we move across the map just a little bit, there is a smaller section of solar panels for $25,000. So I think that's where we want to go first. Let's expand into renewable energy for the first time, at least since we've done the restart here. Let's go ahead and back out of our map. We are going to hop in our tractor. Okay, we're going to go ahead and unhook. And we need to head north. So we're going to do just that. So ultimately, we're going to want to purchase a lot of sheds because that will give us the ability to teleport. And then, of course, we'll want to purchase a lot of orchards, lots of renewable energy, and so on. But now this will give us an opportunity to see a little bit of the map without having to go all the way across the entire map with all of our equipment and bring that stuff over there. Okay, there you see the automatic vehicle wash. Another shed sitting right here. And again, every shed comes with the seed pallets as well as the different types of fertilizer and pesticide. So a very nice addition. Greenhouse there on the right, which we are not interested in just yet. Hopefully they'll be making some changes to those to make them require a little less upkeep than they currently do. Wow, look at the size of these fields. I like it. Nice wide open area. Beautiful. Right, there's our solar panel right over here to the right. You can see it's about half the size, and that would justify half the price of the other solar panels, which would mean that we'll get half the income. But we'll get that income each day, and we will take it. We'll start to diversify our income. There we go. You can see no panels on the stands right now, but we are about to change that. There we go. We can purchase this for $25,000, and we want to do just that. There we go. That leaves us with $23,000. And our nice looking solar panels. Okay, let's go to our map and let's get rid of our location monitor. We don't need that anymore. Oh, and there's the music back. Unfortunately, one of the things with the update, it has triggered that the radio be on at all times. I have blanked all that off. We have no music on the radio, and I've turned the volume all the way down if indeed it did actually have some music it was trying to play. But unfortunately, every time I try to turn that off, it turns it right back on. Same thing happens with the time scale. Every time I exit the game and come back in, the time scale goes, instead of staying at whatever level I left it, it goes right back to the default of 24 times. So again, some issues to work through, but those are small issues to me. Those are more nuisances than anything else, and I can definitely work around that. Alright, so we got two sheds right here close by, one just ahead and then the one that we saw earlier that was behind us. There's one up at the top of the hill. Look out, stay on the road. Alright, so I would expect, what, about $1,100, I believe, per day from that that solar array. Alright, now we're back to our two orchards. And I believe the orchards at this point need to be sprayed, if I remember correctly. Let's go ahead and press V right here in the middle of the road. Hopefully nobody will come up behind us and blow their horn at us. Yeah, we need to take care of that. So we'll get back on that here in just a few moments. But first, oh, here we come. We got some traffic behind us. And I'm sure they would prefer to go a little bit faster than the 23, 22 miles an hour we're going right now. Alright, we'll head off onto the hill because we need to come up here and purchase some wind turbines. So these won't give us in and of themselves very much money per day, but again, the renewable energy sources essentially pay for themselves in about 3 weeks roughly. So that'll give you an idea of the payback time for those. So $4,500 for this one. Go ahead and purchase that. And we won't be able to see it just yet because we can't look that far into the air. So we'll have to see it on our way back. So let's go ahead and purchase a few more of these with the money we have remaining. So we're building ourselves a nice diversified income package. I like it. Any passive income we can get is great in my book, because of course here in just a few more days we're going to have another harvest on the orchards, and along with another harvest on the orchards comes selling more cows and pigs and more money. So of course it just makes sense to ultimately have all of the renewable energy sources purchased on this map as well. Get all of that passive income we can. Here we go. So we got one more that we can purchase. All right, there we go. So as we turn around, oof, mercy. Hold on, game. Now you can see our wind turbines in motion. Very nice. And we'll take it. Let's go ahead and head back over to the tractor. All right, we'll head back off the side of the hill. So the good thing about the renewable energy, of course, as I mentioned, is that there is no maintenance, no upkeep. So you don't have to worry about that. But the downside is that they make about half of the amount of money if you look at it per day than you would make from something like an orchard. Okay, so an orchard's about $45,000. Some obviously take more than that, but if you look at an orchard as $45,000, as some of the others are, these two that we purchased at the beginning are by far the most expensive that I've seen. All right, let's get busy with the spraying, and then we'll have our daily work taken care of. No more chores for us on this particular day. Okay, I tell you what, before we do that, there's one more thing I want to show you guys. Of course, we've got our orchards, and it tries to give you an estimation of the profit. Of course, right now it's not going to show us anything because right now we still need to spray before it will actually begin working. However, if we take a look at the renewable energy, you can see we own one solar panel array, and then we own 5 wind turbines. And if we scroll down a little bit, expected daily profit from the wind turbines, about $200 a day, $1,000 overall, which would give us about $30,000 a month. Very nice. And of course, we only own 5 of them, and they didn't cost very much, so that is quite nice. Solar panels, expected profit is, wow, 960, so a little bit less than I was expecting, but of course, over the course of a month, it's still going to pay for itself. So maybe a little bit more than 3 weeks in order to pay for itself. We will take it because, of course, long term is what we're after. All right, we've got full sprayer, and let's go ahead and take care of our daily chores. So that's going to give us in passive income just under $2,000 a day. So not bad at all, considering that's the last time we will have to do anything with those. All right, take a look at them off to the left there. Bringing in that cash flow. Go. Let's see if I can make this corner. Woo! Just enough room in there. Gonna try to make sure I hit those first trees at the beginning of the row, simply because it is very easy to miss those, or at least one of them, as you're roaming around. And as we do so, I'm trying to keep an eye on the bottom left-hand corner on the mini-map and just making sure that we get the blue water icon over the top of each of these trees as we pass by. Ooh, watch out. Hang in there, game. Hang in there. So I've played around a little bit more with The graphics options, turn down the graphics a little bit more, which should be a little noticeable to you, particularly on the orchard. As you see, the faraway trees do not look very good at all, and that's because I've turned down the draw distance for the level of detail. And again, it doesn't look all that great, but I'm trying to help out the game as much as possible and cut down on the amount of stuttering we get. I'm not sure if long term this is actually helping very much at all, but we're going to do everything we can. Alright, there we go. That's 100%. Now we'll simply work our way on to orchard number 2, and we'll keep going. Thankfully, the spray tank has plenty in it to do both orchards without having to stop and refill. And then once we're done with that, we'll also need to provide some more water in the water storage. As you can see, those are at 0 for both. So I've been looking at the forums on Steam a little bit every now and again, just to sort of get the feel of what the developers are saying, as well as what some of the other players are saying, trying to see if they're seeing a lot of the same things that I'm seeing, have a lot of the same type of requests that I would have. And a few of the things I'm seeing is, number one, people would love to have mobile water storage, have mobile water tanks, and also fuel tanks, because it is not the greatest idea to have to take all of your tractors and your combines and so on down to the gas station in order to get them refueled. So those mobile tanks would be a great addition to the game, because I mean, it would be amazing to have that type of access to both the fuel and the water nearby. Cuts down on some of the time it takes to drive back and forth, in particular to pick up the water. The fuel is not as big a deal as it once was before this update, because now we can turn down the fuel usage quite a bit and save a lot of time on that. But that water, it would still be very nice to have a mobile water tank that we could use to fill up everything. Especially, it will become important as we continue to expand, and any little bit of time you can save from having to drive around to different places and refill tanks would be much appreciated. Alright, so we're nearly done with orchard number 2. After that, we'll fill up the water tanks, and then hopefully sometime over the next probably day or two in game, there will be some rain, which will help us out with the watering of the orchards. Alright, here we go. Final few trees to be sprayed, and we get to 100%. There we go. Take care of that. Move the sprayer back over. We're going to refill it, and then we'll be done with the spraying for a few more days. Alright, there we go. Wow, we did not get very much at all. You can see we've run out of money. Wow. It is expensive to fill up that tank. Okay, so we'll hop out. We'll hop out there. Now we'll move over to our other tractor and get busy with the water. There we go. Back right into the water tank. Alright, so the water tank has a little bit in it right now. Might as well go ahead and drop that off while we're here. And then we'll take a little bit of a shortcut through the field and around the power lines. So as I was reading the forums, one of the things that kind of caught me by surprise, it's something that I've been kind of researching ever since I've started playing the game and just wasn't able to find the answer I was looking for. But now finally the developers have answered the question of how do we get grass? And it seems like an odd question, but if you play other farming sims, you know it is usually as simple as getting grass seed and sowing it on a field. And then of course you use the mowers and the trailers to pick up the grass, and then from there you can either turn it into the more specialized fodder, or you can simply feed it straight to the cows. Well, in this game I wasn't able to find any grass seed, so I've looked in different places, still wasn't able to find any. And as it turns out, we know that you can feed the cows grass. That's mentioned in the Encyclopedia within the game itself. And in fact, in case I haven't shown you guys, here's the Encyclopedia down here at the bottom. It contains tons of information about a lot of stuff within the game. And it talks about feeding them grass so that you don't have to purchase that specialized fodder and that pre-mixed fodder that is available at the cow barn. Well, it turns out you cannot sow grass seed. That's not possible in this game. The way you're supposed to get grass is to simply roam around, because there is a mower and there is equipment to collect the grass. There's, baling capabilities and all sorts of stuff like that. But you cannot sow grass seed, so you're supposed to get it from the areas around the map instead of being able to sow it directly on a field. I'm not sure why they went with that, because that, as far as I'm concerned, that is a mainstay in a farming sim game, the ability to plant grass on a field that you use to feed the animals, or at least use to make the silage and so on. So yeah, I'm not sure why they decided to leave that part out. I'm glad they put in the... Oh wow, watch out, game. I'm glad they gave us the pre-made fodder as an option, but it would definitely be nice to take a field that was located near your cow barn and use that as grass for food. But unfortunately, that is not an option currently in the game. Alright, so we'll fill up the tank one more time. There we go. And if you're keeping track of the fuel usage in the tractor, you can immediately tell it is a good bit less than what it was before the update. I mean, we've still used very little gas in this particular tractor as it relates to a full tank. So I'm very happy about that, because having to run back and forth to the gas station, even though it is nearby with this particular location, it's still a bit of a pain to have to run back and forth to the gas station all of the time. All right, let's see. Do we have the sprinklers turned on? We were at 90% water. Let's see. No, we're still at 90% water. And now, of course, we have the water storage. So we're hoping for a little bit of rain to help us out over the next few days. I was talking to my oldest son about this, and all the daily tasks and the time it takes to drive across the map and all those things. And we were joking about the fact that, in real life, if you owned a farm and you were making this kind of money and were required to, drive these distances and do these things, you wouldn't think a thing about it, and you definitely wouldn't complain about it. I know I wouldn't. I'd be happy to be making this type of money. But in the game, some of this stuff becomes tedious after a while. You don't mind it doing it for a first few times, but again, after a while, it just becomes tedious to drive the long distances and do some of these things. And that's why we need help from, the AI workers and some of the portable fuel storage and portable water storage and so on. All right, so that takes care of where we are so far. Let's go back into our notifications, and you can see everything is as it should be. And I look forward to a time where we can get back to work in those fields. But I think that may be, at this point, maybe a few weeks away. We'll see how the developers are able to get those updates taken care of. But we've got 3 days there, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do now. We are going to cut in the video, and I'm going to fast forward some time, and we'll come back in a few days when it's time to harvest. All right, so we're back. A couple of days have elapsed, and boy, things didn't turn out exactly the way I was hoping. Let's start out. Here we are. It's about 6:30 in the morning. And like I said, a couple of days have passed. Let's take a look at our notifications. And you can see we still show 1 day remaining on the orchards, but yet the animals are ready to be sold. So what could have caused that? Well, it turns out I jinxed myself because we did get the rain that I was talking about that would help out our orchards and preserve our water and and make it so that we didn't have to deal as much with that. However, there seems to have been a bug or something introduced with the latest patch, because I don't remember this happening before when I had tested the orchards out. But what happened was we got the rain and the water level was indeed at 100%, but it dropped our storage water level to 0%. So it just all went away, which doesn't make sense at all given the rain. It would actually spared our storage from being used. But anyway, so both of them, I had to refill the water on both of those. And as an additional twist to the rain, as soon as it started raining, after probably about an hour of raining, it rained all day long, literally through the day and all night long. While it was raining, I got a message from both orchards that says I need to spray again, which I suppose they're thinking that the spray was washed away, but that doesn't seem quite right that you would have to respray every time it rains. Maybe I'm wrong on that, though. This is definitely not my specialty, but that just doesn't quite seem right that you would have to respray an orchard every time it rains. But that's what I had to do. So I had to go back out and do that. But in the meantime, you can't do that while it is raining. So I had to wait for it to stop, which meant I had to be delayed by a full day. So that's why we are a little bit off in our timing now. Let's bring our truck down here and drop it off. And let's see if we can keep this thing from freaking out as we turn. Oop, just a little bit. All right, so we've got our adult cows now. And as I've mentioned before, we are not keeping them long enough to really get into the milking business just yet. Instead, what we're doing is as soon as they become adults, we are taking care of this. So you can see we still have 83% of the prepared fodder left. So we can do many cycles of this before we need to refill the fodder for fear that it's going to run out. So we have $4,761. That is because of the daily income we now have from the renewable energy. So let's go ahead and sell the cows. And all 45, that's going to give us $18,000. And of course, this building is already maxed out, so we need to back up and come back in so we can buy the animals. And unfortunately, we have to spam the button in order to buy 45 calves. There we go. And I'm actually going to just leave the fodder where it is. So we're at 12,800 at this point. You can see the manure beginning to pile up over there. At some point, we'll be doing something with it. We'd like to sell it, but I have read comments that the front end loader is a bit buggy right now, so I'm not all that interested to get involved in that. However, I do know that you can also sell the liquid fertilizer, the slurry, and in doing that, we could get some money there. We just need to purchase a tank and then a tractor to pull it. So who knows? Maybe that'll be worth doing here in the future. Now we need to sell our pigs. We've only got 10 here since we've not fully upgraded this area, so we're only going to get 8 grand there. Still not bad at all. And our prepared fodder is right around half. Okay, so they've used basically half the fodder available. Okay, we'll come back in and purchase back our animals. So after everything is said and done, before refilling the fodder, we're at just over 20,000. And let's refill the fodder now. Go ahead and fill that back up, even though we don't necessarily have to. There we go, about 2 grand. So we'll make this, we'll come out with about $18,000 in, let's make sure we've got our piglets. Yeah, there they are. So we'll come out with about $18,000 in profit, counting our, of course, our renewable energy. All right, so I think what we're going to do now is call it a video for here. Thank you very much for joining me, and when we come back next time in our gameplay series, we will actually be able to harvest. Hopefully we won't get any more rain and we'll be able to harvest our orchard. So thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more Pure Farming 2018.